So welcome to 3.3. We're going to mix positive and negative exponent problems together and make sure we can still keep sense of them. So we've learned all this. Let's see if you can do it. So 5 to the 0, anything to the 0 is 1. Negative exponents make reciprocal. So it's 1/5 to the first or 1/5. 5 to the negative second is 1/5 squared, or 1/5 times 1/5, or 1/25. But a way faster way we now know is that 5 squared is 25. 5 to the negative second is 1/25. If you realize that 5 cubed is 125, right? This one times 5, then this must be 1/125th. It's the reciprocal. 1/4 to the 0, everything to the 0 power equals 1. Now 1/4 to the negative 1, right? You flip 1/4 over and make 4 to the first power. So it's 4, right? Negative exponents make reciprocals of whatever is the base. The base here is 1/4, so we're making 4 squared there. That's 16, right? It looks like it should be a fraction, but it's not. It's the reciprocal of a fraction. And this is 4 cubed, 16 times 4, right? 4 times 4 times 4, which is, that's a 2, is 64. So now we're going to do this with letters, and we're going to see some shortcuts here. But let's look at the one in blue here. All right, so y to the negative third, all right? Negative exponents make reciprocals. And what we're going to find out today is that it flips, if it's in the bottom or denominator, it flips it up to the top and makes a positive exponent. Notice the one with a positive exponent already didn't flip, only the one with a negative exponent flipped up to the top. Now, if you have a negative exponent in the numerator, it goes down to the denominator. If you have it in the denominator, it goes up to the numerator. And in both cases, when you do that, it makes the exponent positive. We're going to see that today. All right, so negative exponents switch the position of powers, right? This whole thing is called a power, right? So let's see that. All right, so we're evaluating this. So the 8 to the negative second comes down here, becomes 8 squared. 3 to the negative second goes up there and makes 3 squared. So we rewrote it, but it says evaluate, so we're going to evaluate. 3 squared is 3 times 3, 9. 8 squared is 8 times 8, 64. And the answer to that is 9/64. Try this one. So the 2 to the negative fourth goes down there and becomes 2 to the fourth. The 7 to the negative first goes up there and becomes 7 to the positive first. Well, 7 to the first is 7. 2 to the fourth is 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8 times 2 is 16. That is 7/16. The negative exponents make reciprocals, and they also switch the position. Really, it's the same idea. All right, so now we're going to mix positive and negative exponents together. So look here, right? The x squared stayed where it is because it's not a negative exponent. And then people doing their homework tonight, they start flipping everything. No, you only flip the ones with negative exponents. So let's see that. So let's rewrite this. 4 squared, the 4 squared stays right where it is. The 3 to the negative first goes up to the numerator. So now there's a 1 down there, right? And so 4 squared is 16, and then we have 16 times 3 over 1, right? When everything disappears, you get a 1. Now that 1's going to go away. And 16 times 3, 3 times 6 is 18, is 48. So this is equal to 48 over 1, or 48. Just flip the negative exponents. Let's try this one. The 5 stays where it is, right? It has a positive exponent of 1 that we don't write. The 2 to the negative third comes down here and becomes 2 cubed. And let me write that better. What goes up there where nothing is left? A 1. Please do not forget that 1. So that 1 stays there. 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. This is 5 times 8. So the answer to this is 1/40th. Everything to the 0 power is 1. The 5 to the negative second becomes up here and becomes 5 squared. There's nothing left there, so that also becomes 1. 5 squared is 25. 1 times 25 is 25. And so that's 25. All right, so the 6 to the first is 1, right? Everything to the 6 to the 0th is 1. Everything to the 0th is 1. The 9 squared goes down here. There's a 1 because nothing else is left up there, right? And this is 1 over 9 squared times 1, or 1/81st. That's how you say that, 1/81st. Denominator of fractions are said like the order of a race. So 81st, 1/81st. So that's the multiplication symbol, right? That's very different than my x symbol. So this is, now, you can do this one of two ways, but let's do this. 7 times, right? Now, you can do this as 1/4 squared, but it turns out you can also, now we've learned today, that you could just put this down in the denominator like that and do 1/4 squared. Turns out, same answer. So let's, right, if we're going to multiply fractions, we could do that. And it's 7/16. So please understand, 1/4 squared and 1/4 squared, yes, are going to be the same answer. Very helpful. All right, so this is 1/11 to the first. 3 squared is 9, right? And so this is 9/11. Right, that's multiply there because we have no operation. 9 to the first is 9 to the, I did that last screen. 9 to the 0th is 1. 12 to the negative second. So you can write this either way. I'll show you that it works both ways. You can write it as 1/12, but the faster way we're going to learn today is just write it like that. And so 1 times 1/12 squared is 1 times 1/12 times 12, or 144th. Right, if you did yesterday's method, right, 1/12, it's 1 times 1/12 times 1/12. Turns out the same answer. So it turns out you can use, think of this as either way. Now, remember, we always simplify our fractions, so let's see that. So 4 will go down there and become 4 squared. The 2 goes up there and becomes 2 squared. 2 squared is 2 times 2 is 4. 4 squared is 4 times 4 is 16. You're not allowed to leave that. Ever. It's a rule. You never ask your teacher. You always simplify your fractions. So the 6 squared stays where it is, right? The 3 squared goes down in the denominator. So now you have 6 squared, or 6 times 6, 36. 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9. 36/9, that's 4/1, but you can skip that and go right to 4. Plain old 4 is what that equals. So that goes up there, becomes 10 to the first. That goes down here, becomes 5 squared. That's 10/25. You're not leaving it that way. And 10/25 simplifies to 2/5, right? Simplify your fraction. Okay, with algebra, we have 6 to the negative second times 3. So then that, the 3 stays where it is in the numerator. That's right, 3/1, 3. The 6 to the negative second goes down there and becomes 6 squared. So it's 3/36. Still need to simplify that. That becomes 1/12. Really doesn't matter what x is there, because everything to the 0 power is 1. Y to the negative 4th now is, right, is, let me write this in, 3 to the negative 4th. So that goes up to the numerator. There's nothing left down there, so you get another 1. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 3 is 81. Now you could also do this as 9 times 9, but either way, this is 81/1, which is 81. Take your time with these. They all logically make sense. All right, so this is 2 times x to the first times y to the negative second. So now this is the same as 2 times 6 times 3 to the negative second. So the 2 times 6, right, that all stays in the numerator. But 3 to the negative second goes in the denominator, and you get 12/9. Again, you don't leave it that way. you get 4/3, and you're allowed to leave. If you really feel the need to make it 1 1/3, go ahead. You don't need to, but there it is. All right, now the thing that probably drives people to, all right, so the -7 is the base, right? We need the reciprocal of -7. All right, so right, what's the reciprocal of this? So it's 1 over -7. All right, and so it's 1 over -7 squared. All right, so now it's going to be 1 over -7 times -7, which is 1/49th. But the -7 did not become positive, please, okay? So let's see that here, right? So you could have gotten the right answer on that one even if you didn't realize what was going on. But here, it's 5 times -2 cubed all over 1, right? We flip that up, but it stays negative, the base, the -2. So this is 5 times -2 times -2 times -2, right? Well, -2 times -2 times -2 is -8. So this is 5 times -8, which is -40, right? And the negative part of this base does not change. It just flips. So, right, this has a negative exponent, that has a negative. So the 5 goes up there and becomes 5 to the first. This comes down here and becomes -6 to the first. So this is 5, and this is -6, and that's -5/6, right? The negative part of the exponent just flips it. It leaves whatever the base is the same. All right, here's our practice. All right, so rewrite as an equivalent with a positive exponent. So the y to the -5th goes up there and becomes y to the 5th. The x to the -3rd comes down here and becomes x cubed. Oh, here's a tricky one. This 8 stays where it is. That's a coefficient. That 8 stays right there. It doesn't have any negative exponent, so it's like 8 to the first. 8 over 1, not 8 to the first. Well, it is 8 to the first. The x to the -2nd comes down here. The y cubed stays where it is. Only the thing with negative exponents goes down to the not gets switched. Be careful. All right, the 7 stays where it is. The 11 goes down there and becomes 11 to the first. There's nothing left up there, so 1. 1 over 7 times 11, 1/77th. All right, the 9 to the second power goes down there, becomes 9 squared. The 3 to the -2nd goes up there and becomes 3 squared. 3 squared is 9, 9 squared is 81. Why can't you leave it that way? Simplifying fractions, 1/9. All right, so here's just like that 8. There's this 5. This 5 is going to stay where it is. The x to the -4th is going to become, right, let's rewrite it. 2 to the -4th times 4 squared. 2 to the -4th will go down to the bottom and become 2 to the 4th. The 4 squared will stay where it is. So we have 5 times 4 squared over 2 to the 4th is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8/16. Oh, and now this is 5 times 16. We can cancel. There's a little trick here. Now you could do 5 times 16 and you'll get 80/16. But you have to simplify the fraction. And guess what? Just cancel the 16s. Yeah, major trick we're going to talk about. And so that's 5 over first, which is 5. 5 over 1, which is 5. And 7 to the -7, right? -7 to the -1st. Flip it over, and it's 1 over -7 or -1/7. The negative stays negative because this is only flipping it over, not changing it to positive. All right, take care. Have a good work on your homework.